Hi everyone and welcome back to my video. Today it's a bit of a fun one that I'm doing today and a bit of a 2-for-1 as well. So I'm trying to show how to use what you have and also to get the most out of the supplies you've already got. So I've got this lawnfawn stamp set which is called Cheesy Christmas. That's the one there. Let me just see if you can see it there. Cheesy Christmas. And I thought it would be great because I want to give a present to a friend who likes cheese and wine, and I think you might have these in all different places, but in the UK we have these ones, little cheeses that are in wax, and they've all got different types of cheese inside. You cut the wax off and you've got the little cheese in them, and I thought it would be great to make a little gift box for those to go in to go with the wine. But it doesn't have to be cheese that you have to do here. It could be anything you could put in this gift box and any theme of stamps or cut aparts that you've got. So anyway, this is my box. I'm going to show you how to make this, and then you can put whatever you like inside. So it opens like so. If you've got these cheeses, then it will fit 3 of these inside. I've made it so you can fit 3 in, so it's got room for another one there. That closes down, and you've got that lovely little gift box and card. And I've also used scraps of the paper, some embossed card as well to use with that, minimal supplies, and it makes a really nice little present. So let's get started and I'll show you how to make them. Okay, so starting with the box. Just to let you know that these are the little cheeses that I put inside the box, and they are, the way I worked out my sizing is I drew round them to get my size, and they'd fit in a 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 square box, and that is how I got my width, 1.5. So whatever you've got, you can do a similar thing, but these will fit. So for your sizing, they fit in 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 square, so you'll know roughly what size they are. Okay. But your box doesn't have to be for cheese, it's just that this is how I'm making this one to fit in the theme. So for this size box, you need a piece of card which is 11.5 by 7 3/4 inches, and you want to score at 2 3/4, 5.5, 8 1/4 and 11 inches. So let's do that. So 2 3/4, 5.5, 8 1/4 and 11 inches, and that leaves you with a 1/2 inch tab. And then with the score line at the top, on the short side you want to score at 1/2 and 3 1/4 inches. So at 1/2 and at 3 1/4 inches. And then popping this back round long ways again, I've put this star mark here. You want to then score at 7 3/4 inches to the first score line. So it's 7 3/4 down to this score line, which is here. And that means that this end panel here, you've got a 1/2 inch score line on 3 sides, and you'll know that that's correct. So that's what we've got so far. So let's get rid of our scoring tool. Now all you need to do is, where you've done this 7 3/4 score line, you want to cut first of all down it to where it meets that other score line, and then you want to cut all this section off. So where that second score line is, let's cut that off like so. What you've now got. So we can get rid of this piece. Now over on this end here, this is going to be our lid. So you want to cut up to meet that other score line, and then notch out that corner there, like so, and then do the same on the opposite side. Cut up there and notch that piece out. So that gives us that section. Now on these ones, you want to cut up to where they meet on those 2 ends there, and you want to notch out this front part. Well, actually, I'd say the side part, isn't it? So notch out the side part. So if I do it and then show you, it's a bit easier then, isn't it? You can see. So the only part that's not notched now is the front. And all I'm going to do on this is just do a bit of a curved corner, because this is what's going to fit inside your lid, or be the lid of your box. And this part, you just want it to be not too, what's the word? Not too cut away. You can come back to it later, but you just want a sort of angle, because that's going to make, if we fold these in now, you will see that that's going to make the bit that slots into your box to keep the lid down. Then you're left with this side here, and I'm just going to do a couple of little notches out on here just to make this fit together easy as well. So let's do that on both of those ends, and then that is what you're left with now. So 4 panels, you've got a tab on this side, and this is going to be your lid. Now, because we're doing this in a thrifty way, so that you can use A4 or the equivalent letter size papers. Now, because of this 11.5 section here, it's great for UK size papers, but if you're in the US, you'll just have an 11-inch piece here. So you do need a tab. So the easiest thing to do there is to get a piece of cardstock, and I'll just give you the measurements, which is 4.5 inches by an inch. Oops, pretending this is 4.5 inches by an inch, and score it down the middle like so. That will then give you this tab. So for example, it will fit here, and you'll be able to join your sides together. It will come to the end here. So when we score this round, let me just show you now. Give your score lines a good crease. And with the European card size, we've got this tab, but obviously in the US you won't, so you'll put your joining piece here, which will be 4.5 inches, and that will join your box together, giving you a hinge in effect there. So that's how we can do that. So we've got that now. Now the second piece we need is a base piece of card to make the base of the box, which is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 inches, and we want to score on all sides at 1/2 inch. So let's do that. Grab my scoring tool here, back on, and just on all sides 1/2 inch. Nice and easy around there. So this allows you to make a box using minimal supplies and cardstock that you have already got. So you don't have to go out buying 12 by 12 card if you haven't got it. You can definitely use the card that you have already got in your stash, which on the whole will be A4 in the UK or 8.5 by 11. And to compensate, like I say, for that 1/2 inch, you can make a little hinge, and then you're exactly the same. So I've notched out all the corners like so, and then all I'm going to do is fold those in. Okay, that is that. Bringing back in now our base card. This is our lid, so we need to attach our base. So all I'm going to do now is attach it with some tape. You can obviously use glue here, and I probably would use glue, but for quickness and so that it holds on the video, I am just going to pop this tape on. Now the glue will give you a lot more wiggle room. So taking one panel and folding it in with the panels facing into the tabs facing into the box, I am going to attach, I think I'm going to start this end. I'll start at the far end, and I'm going to attach my base to my box like so, making sure that's flush up against there. And then all I'm going to do is take the next one, rotate it, and attach this one. I definitely prefer glue because you can definitely get a better angle on your glue. Do the same again on this one, fold it down, level it up. It's hard doing it with the camera right in front of your face there. That's it. Okay, you can see it coming together now. And then we've got this piece here. This is going to be our final piece to make that box come around. Now all I want to do now is get some tape on this tab area, because this is going to join us all up and slot in. So I'm going to just pull that one back and get this one ready to join up. So when I've got the tabs there together, push that one in, pull that along and get it level for one. There we go, should be levelish there. And then I'm going to tuck this piece inside and level up the side of our box like so. Hopefully I'm in the camera angle there. That's it. Okay, so that now has given us this. You can pop your hand inside and squash those pieces in that you can see just like so. And this now is our box. We can close the lid and tuck that top piece in, and that will fit together perfectly. And because we only curve those corners, it gives it a little bit of grip there when it goes into the box. So just popping a couple of these cheeses in, or just to show you, this is one of the cheeses I've got there. You can pop that down, and then there's room for a third one in there too, and they fit nice and snugly inside. Okay. Now, you can decorate your box before you stick it together if you want to, but I've chosen to not do that. I'm going to do mine, decorate it now. So what have I got to decorate it with? So I've taken 4 panels of, just grab the pad. This is an older pad, Perfectly Plaid Christmas by Lawnfawn. Now I'm quite thrifty with the papers, I must admit, because I really like the papers and I want to use as much of them as I can. So I don't tend to waste them by layering up too much. So I'm going to use 4 panels, and sometimes if I do layer up I cut the centres out so I've got a bit more paper left. So my 4 panels are 4 2.5 by 4.25 inches, and for the lid panel 2.5 by 2.5 inches. So I've already cut those, so I'm just going to bob around here and pop those on like so. Add in my glue there. Just getting those on level, get that squeezed shut there. Okay, and the final side I've got here. Okay, so that's our 4 panels in, looking great. Then I have cut, this is a Crafter's Companion torn edged oval, but just use whatever dies you've got in your stash, something that will fit nicely on the front like so. So I've cut one out of the plaid papers and one out of the white, and I'm just going to layer them up with a few foam pads put enough on for that to have a little bit of height. There we go. Pop those ones on. And that's going to go on the front like so. Now, I don't think I'm going to have another layer. I'm just going to pop those on with a bit of tape and a little bit of glue. Put that on there. Okay, I think that way. So there it is. That's the front panel of my box. Now, the stamps are lawnfawn. I've started repackaging mine. So lawnfawn cheesy Christmas, and I'll just show you now. These are the pieces, elements I have stamped out. So I have got I've coloured them in so you don't have to keep watching me colour in. And I've got the little cheesy mouse. I have got a little present, another cheese present, and a gift bag. That's what I'm going to pop on this latest creation. So I've got or at least I've got them there, even if I don't decide to use them all. I've got my little cheesy mouse here, and I think I'm going to see how I go with the presents. I think I'll pop that one down there, and maybe this one under the tree like so. So let's get those on. Pop my tree on, and my mouse, have him ready to go. Let's pop him on there. I think I'll pop my other cheese under the tree, just tucked under there, and maybe another present just down there. Let's get that one on. Just going to stick that one just at the bottom there, I think. Stuck that one in. Just want a bit of overlap there. Let's pop that on. And there we go. That's my little front. Now it does need something there, I feel. And this I probably should have stamped beforehand. But I think I'm going to put that, my little gouda. Let me just see. This is winging it as I go, and hoping that this will work where I've got it. So I think I'm just going to stamp my bit of thingy there. So let's hope and pray this works, because I should have done this beforehand really. So I'm going to ink up my stamp like so, and I'm going to come in from the side and I'm going to pop it on like this, I think. What do you think I would... No, my thing is too high. Let's pause this. Okay, I've risked that off camera and stamped it now. Had a little tweak about with that, and let's just repop this one on here. Get him in position. Yes, so the trick to that is do this little part before you stick this maybe on. So there we go, that's on now. And now we've got our box lid ready to close, and we just need to pop something on the top there, which is our 2.5 by 2.5 inch piece of paper, which is cut from the pad or whatever pad you've got to use up, because it doesn't have to be long on this, it's about using what's in your stash. And I'm just going to centre that on the top like so. Because I want a bit of weight on my lid, I had a little piece of this check left, so I layered this up on a small piece of the green and some white card, and this has made me a little bit of weight here for the top. And just because you're using a small piece of the papers, it just makes it all look matching. So you can use up your stash and make it all look matchy-matchy at the same time, which is great. And then I've tied a little red polka dot bow, a double one, which I'm going to add on with some red line tape. Let's see if we can get this off. Here we go. Can I even see the tape now? So there is my bow. I'm going to stick that in the middle. And you could put a sentiment on here, but I think that just looks great as it is. So there is the box. So let's make the card. Now the matching card is super simple. Like I say, I'm in the UK, so my card size here is 5 3/4 by 4, because I can get 2 off an A4 piece of paper. But in the US, yours will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, if I'm right. So I haven't written the sizes down, but it's just you do in the front of yours, so it's roughly the same size, but for 1/4 inch. So again, I'm using scraps. I've got 2 pieces, cut off those sheets that I made the box panels from, and I'm just going to add those to the front of the card. This is a side fold landscape that I've made, just because my final images suited a longer area to put the images on. So let's get those glued down. So I'm just leaving a tiny white border, just because I think that looks nice, but you don't have to. And then I've cut a panel for the middle here, same size, and I had a bubbly embossing folder in my stash. It's an old one, an old Crafter's Companion one from donkey's years ago. And I've just lightly embossed that because I thought it looked like bubbles in the cheese, or bubbles in the cheese, holes in the cheese, and it also looks like snow falling, so it's a one hit fits all. So I'm just layering that one in the middle. Then I've got one of my precious papers cut using this same shaped torn oval, one in white and embossed as well. So you could layer both of these up. I'm going to have one down flat because it makes it less bulky for posting. Like that. Pop that one in the middle. And then this piece I am going to layer up on some foam pads. So let's get some of those on. Now you might not have exactly the same stamps or exactly the same paper or even exactly the same dies here, but the whole point of it is to say use what your use what's in your stash using this same either layout of the card, the measurements of the box. So don't always think you have to have exactly what somebody's demonstrating to you to make something really nice, cute, pretty out of the stuff that you've already got. So let's pop that one in. So there we go. Make sure I've still got it. Oh, that's what I did do. I did stamp inside with the little mouse. 'Tis the season to be cheesy, and some notes. So that's all I've done on my inside. So there we go with that. Now let me just find my pieces. So like I said before, these were the images that I stamped, and these are the coloured images that I've now got. So let's pop all those on. Now I'm going to learn by my last video, I think, and I'm going to stamp a couple of sentiments on here in a second. I'm going to put my tree on so I know I'm just going to get my main focal image in the right place. So I've got my tree and I've got my sentiment. So I'm going to put the sentiment on first so I know where I'm heading. So let's pop that on. I'm going to have that at the bottom here, just overlapping and hopefully in the middle there. And my tree I'm going to have off centre and just tucked in here, I think. There. Right, I'm going to bring my stamps back and I'm going to add, what have I got here? I've got this fa la la la, so I'm going to add that on. So let's do that first. I'm just going to stamp this in. Bear with me a second. Okay, so ink up my fa la la la. I'm going to pop that at the side there. Let's stamp that down. That looks okay to me. And then I'm just going to pop on some music notes. So let's make sure I can get those on. So I've got one lot here. And I'm going to place those up the top here, I think. There we go. That should be all right. That's one lot. Now I might add a second lot in a minute, but for now, that's my music notes on. Let me just get the other ones at the ready in case I need those. There we go. Right, I've got my little mice now that I want to add on. So I'm going to pop, let's see where I've got. I want this dancing mice on top of my cheese. That's the plan. Let's pop the cheese down. I'm going to have him on top of there. Then I'm going to have this one here somewhere, I think, like that. So I'm going to pop him on first, I think. So at least I've got him in the right place. Pop him here. I'm going to have him holding a little present here, up in the air. Like that. I'm going to have my piece of cheese. I've even used my backs of something I've already stamped on there. I'm going to have that tucked under the tree. I've got a little radio here because that's where the music sounds are all coming from. I'm going to tuck that in there by the feet. And this little mouse balancing, he's not dancing on the tables, he's dancing on the cheese. Pop him in there. I think I'm just ready to add a few more musical notes on the top here, I think. So let's see if I can get those on now. Pop those up there. That's great. And I just need a bit more balance on this side, I think. I need my little present in there under the tree. I'm going to tuck that one in as well. Let's pop that there. And finally, somebody bringing some cheese to the party. I'm going to add my little mouse coming this way, I think, under there. That looks great. So it just goes from that to that, which I love. And I'm going to finish that off with a little bit of stickles. Some on the top of my tree here. And a bit in this sparkly cheese, because I'm sure mice have sparkly cheese at Christmas. That looks great. Little bits everywhere. There we go. Bit on the radio. And I think that will do. Bit on his hat there. Great. And that's my finished card. So now I've got a lovely little finished card and a matching box there to pop cheese in and give to a friend who obviously likes cheese, but probably likes it with a glass of wine too. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it inspires you to make something similar yourself. Love to hear what you think. Please give me a like and a thumbs up, and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!